I used to live for many years feeling like life was unfair. Whenever my plans fell apart, whenever someone I trusted turned their back on me, I kept asking, why is this happening to me? But one day, during a Dharma talk, I heard something that awakened a quiet part within me. No suffering is meaningless if we learn to see with the eyes of a practitioner. That sentence struck deep. I suddenly recalled the Buddhist teaching, suffering is a teacher. From that moment on, I began practicing a new way of looking at every hardship in my life. Instead of asking, why me? I asked, what is this trying to teach me? And that shift changed everything. There was a time when I poured my heart into a startup project. All my energy, finances, and trust were invested in it. But just a few months in, everything collapsed. I felt lost and deeply discouraged, and yet that was the perfect moment to apply what I had learned. I sat down, took a deep breath, and asked myself, what lesson is this failure trying to show me? With honest reflection, I saw how the failure revealed my impatience, my unchecked ego, and my craving for quick success. Had everything gone smoothly, I might not have noticed those blind spots in my own mind. It was a painful experience, but one wrapped in a precious lesson. It's like climbing a mountain. If all you care about is when will I reach the top, you'll grow tired and give up. But if you pause with each stumble, adjust your footing, and take in the scenery around you, then the journey itself becomes meaningful. The very stones that trip you up are also the ones that toughen your stride. I began applying this mindset everywhere. When someone hurt me, I asked, did I place unrealistic expectations on them? When I missed an opportunity, I saw it as life redirecting me towards something better. Gradually, I felt lighter, steadier, no longer pulled under by negativity. The secret isn't in eliminating suffering. It's in how we receive it. When we stop viewing life through the lens of a victim, we begin walking the path of awakening. It's no longer, why is this happening to me? But rather, thanks to this, what have I learned? And you know what? When I changed the way I looked at life, the world around me changed too. People began to ask, how do you stay so calm all the time? I smiled because I had come to understand. Peace doesn't mean the absence of storms. It means knowing how to sail through them without losing yourself. I used to believe that silence and endurance were enough to get through hardship, but I was wrong. There was a silent kind of poison I had been drinking every single day without even knowing it. The quiet stream of negative self-talk flowing through my mind. I never scolded others, but I constantly scolded myself. You're not good enough. You'll never make it. You failed, just give up. At first, I thought they were just fleeting emotions, but over time, they quietly became truths I started to believe in. And once I believed them, I began to act as if they were real. I shrank. I held myself back. I stopped daring to try. Until one day, during meditation, I encountered the Buddhist teaching on right speech, Chang'e, in the Noble Eightfold Path. At first, I thought it simply meant not lying or speaking harshly. But the deeper I practiced, the more I realized right speech also means how we speak to ourselves. I began observing my inner language the way one observes a flowing river. Every time a self-blaming thought appeared, I didn't try to suppress it. I gently asked, why am I saying this to myself? Then I tried replacing it, not with fake positivity like, I'm the best,
but with honest, compassionate phrases. I'm still learning. I'm improving little by little. It's okay, just be patient. At first it felt awkward, but over time, I realized, like a garden, every word is a seed. And every time I said something kind, even something small, I was planting a wholesome seed in the soil of my consciousness. I remember once, before going on stage to share about the Dharma, my heart was pounding fast. In the past, I'd whisper to myself, "You'll mess up, people will judge you." But this time, I placed my hand over my heart and said, "I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be sincere." Just that one sentence grounded me completely. We often talk about learning to love ourselves, but few realize that love begins with language. The words you speak to yourself each morning, each failure, each moment of doubt, they reveal whether you are nurturing your inner life or slowly tearing it down. And then something miraculous happened. As I changed the way I spoke to myself, I also changed the way I spoke to others. I stopped being harsh. I stopped judging. I realized if I have struggled so deeply with my own inner dialogue, then others must be fighting quiet battles in their minds too. So I began practicing kind speech, both in thought and in words. I believe in you. We're all trying our best. It's okay. Start again. These phrases may seem small, but sometimes they're the life raft for someone drowning in despair. Words, when misused, are a double-edged sword, but when spoken with care and wisdom, they become sweet medicine that heals. And it all begins with one choice. From today, I will speak to myself as if I'm speaking to someone I truly love.
I used to be someone who lived almost entirely in the past, while constantly worrying about the future. I would torment myself over choices I had made, then let my mind spiral into endless what-ifs. What if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? I called it a state of mental overload, clutching the past in one hand, bracing for the future with the other, and completely forgetting where I actually was. Here. There was a period when I couldn't sleep at all. My heart would ache from stress, my hands cold from anxiety. I told the teacher about it once, and he simply smiled and said, "Why don't you try living fully in the present moment?" At the time, I nodded like a clueless child, not really understanding what he meant. Then one day, during a meditation session, I was guided with these words: "Just follow your breath. Breathe in, know that you are breathing in. Breathe out, know that you are breathing out." I remember thinking, that's it? That's too simple. But I was wrong. Within just a few minutes of observing my breath, I noticed something strange. My mind wouldn't stay still. It kept darting off to an old argument, to tomorrow's presentation. The breath was here, but the mind? It was running everywhere. That split between body and mind was exactly why I felt so incomplete, so uneasy. But I didn't give up. Each time I caught my mind wandering, I gently brought it back to the breath. At first, it would drift again after just a few seconds. So I brought it back, again and again, like patiently training a small puppy. Over time, I began to notice the smallest things I had once overlooked. The sunlight spilling through a window, the birds singing outside, the subtle warmth in my hand as I made tea. That's when I understood. The present moment isn't just the space between past and future. It's the only place we are truly alive. You know, many people mistakenly believe that living in the present means not caring about the future. But that's not it at all. Living in the present means not letting the past pull you backward and not letting the future wear you down.
When you do anything, whether washing dishes or going for a walk with full attention, you'll experience a deep, quiet peace. It's not flashy, but it's profound. Once I challenged myself to spend an entire week doing just one thing at a time. No music while working, no scrolling while eating. And you know what? I felt lighter. My mind was clearer. Things moved more slowly, but more meaningfully. And I began to treasure moments that once seemed trivial. Living in the present made me realize I wasn't lacking anything. Not success, not love, because in this very moment, I already had so much. My breath, my body, and a heart that wanted to live better. The present moment is the key that unlocks the door to peace. So whenever you feel exhausted, try pausing for a few minutes. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale slowly and smile. You don't have to wait for life to be perfect to feel at ease. This moment, right here, is enough. And in this moment, you can begin to live gently. When I was younger, I used to believe that effort alone was enough. Just keep your head down, grind day and night, and success will eventually come. But the further I went, the more lost I felt. Not because I lacked determination, but because I didn't really know what I was moving toward. My mind was filled with images of failure, voices of doubt, and invisible fears I couldn't even remember when I first picked up. Then one day, during a meditative visualization, I heard a powerful teaching. Where the mind can see, the body will follow. That sentence felt like a fresh breeze clearing away the mental fog I'd been living in. I began to try a simple practice. Every morning, before my day began, I closed my eyes and clearly pictured myself completing a goal, whether small, like finishing a piece of writing, or big, like sharing the Dharma in front of a large audience. I didn't just imagine the scene, I tried to feel the joy, the gratitude, the quiet warmth in my chest that came with that moment of success. At first, it felt fake, like I was daydreaming or playing pretend. But something strange began to happen. The more I practiced, the clearer my mind became. The doubts faded little by little, and when I returned to my tasks, they no longer felt as difficult, because in my mind, I had already seen myself succeed. Have you ever noticed this? Before an exam, an interview, or a difficult meeting, if your mind is filled with images of you failing, stuttering, or making mistakes, you almost always live that script out. But if you've already seen yourself staying calm, focused, and composed, somehow your body and emotions begin to follow that path. I'm not saying that visualization automatically guarantees success, but I truly believe this. Right visualization plants the seed for success. It's like growing a tree. The image in your mind is the seed, positive emotion is the water, and your action is the sunlight. Without sunlight, the tree can't grow, but without a seed and water, sunlight means nothing. I applied this even to my spiritual practice. Before sitting down for meditation, I would first visualize myself sitting calmly, peacefully, undistracted. Before giving a Dharma talk, I'd picture the audience listening with deep attention, their eyes lighting up when a truth resonated within them. Those images gave me steadiness. They carried me through. The most important lesson I've learned is this. Don't visualize vaguely. Be clear, be specific, and fill the vision with positive emotion. Not to manifest the universe or anything mystical, but so that you yourself begin to believe, I can. You cannot walk toward a place you've never seen. So each day, take a few minutes to see your mountaintop clearly. Not to live in fantasy, but to get ready to climb with full trust and inner direction.
I used to doubt just how much my surroundings could actually influence me. I thought, As long as I'm strong enough inside, it doesn't matter who's around me. But in the end, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. There was a time when I was close to an old group of friends. They weren't bad people, but they carried a heavy, dark energy with them. Always complaining about life, criticizing successful people, and constantly doubting themselves. Whenever I shared a dream or a new plan, the response was always the same. That's too hard. You're being too idealistic. At first, I laughed it off. But over time, I found myself shrinking. Negativity doesn't always need to be spoken aloud. It seeps in quietly, through a glance, a sigh, a skeptical nod. Eventually, I realized I wasn't dreaming big anymore. I started delaying things. I began to doubt myself. And worst of all, I started living just enough, so no one would label me as unrealistic. It wasn't until I listened to a Dharma talk on the concept of Sangha, the spiritual community, that something awakened in me. The Buddha taught that no practitioner walks the path alone forever. We need a Sangha, not just a group of meditators, but a community that lifts one another up in the practice of mindful living. I quietly began to step away from the relationships that drained me. No arguments, no judgments, just space. At the same time, I sought out new spaces, people with similar values, gatherings to share about meditation, book circles where dreams were spoken without fear of ridicule. I remember one sister friend. Every time I felt discouraged, she would simply say, "You can do this. Just keep going." No long speeches, just one sentence. And somehow, it gave me the strength I needed. That's when I realized, sometimes one person believing in you is enough to help you rise again. It's not just people either. Everything we consume, what we read, what we listen to, what we watch, they're all invisible companions on our path. I used to mindlessly listen to sad music, scroll through negative news, follow accounts that only complained. Now, I'm more careful. I curate what enters my mind, like tending a garden and refusing to let weeds take over. You know what I've come to believe? The difference between someone who stays positive and someone who's always drained is often just this: who's walking beside them every day? Take a look around. Is there anyone who makes you feel small? Anyone who's made you forget how brave and worthy you are? If so, be compassionate enough to walk away. And if you haven't found the right companions yet, that's okay. Start by being your own kind friend. When you carry peaceful energy within you, you begin to attract others who vibrate on the same frequency. Your Sangha might not wear brown robes or sit in meditation every morning, but they are the people who make you want to live more mindfully, more courageously, and who always remind you the path ahead is real, as long as you don't walk it alone. I used to be deeply attached to my goals. Once I set my sights on something, I would pour everything into achieving it, no matter the cost. To others, it might have looked like perseverance, but only I knew the truth. Much of it was clinging in disguise, tying my heart too tightly to outcomes and letting my happiness rise or fall based on success or failure. I remember once putting all my hope into a community project I helped initiate with a group of dedicated friends. We spent 3 full months preparing. I had imagined everything: the success, the positive feedback, the recognition. But on the day of the event, it rained heavily. Fewer people showed up than we expected. Parts of the program had to be canceled or cut short. I was heartbroken, disappointed, and angry at myself. In the days that followed, I avoided everything: my phone, conversations,
even thinking about the event. It felt as though all our efforts had gone to waste. Then, one quiet evening, I reread a Buddhist verse. Suffering doesn't arise from events, but from attachment to them. That line pierced through the fog of my emotions. I looked inward and asked myself, why was I hurting so much? Not because the project had failed, but because I had poured my entire sense of worth into that result. I had believed deep down that only if it succeeded would I be worthy of joy. And that, I realized, was the real cause of my suffering. From that moment, I began to practice one of the most profound teachings in Buddhism: letting go. But let me clear, letting go doesn't mean giving up or doing things half-heartedly. It means giving your best while not clinging to how things turn out. It means caring deeply, but not being controlled by expectations. I still set goals, I still plan, but after every action, I gently release the need for specific results. I remind myself, the outcome is a matter of conditions coming together. My role is only to tend the cause. Whether the conditions ripen or not is not mine to control. And something beautiful happened. The moment I stopped being ruled by results, I began to feel lighter, freer. Tasks that once stole my sleep became chances to practice mindfulness. I began to enjoy the journey rather than anxiously chasing the destination. One friend once asked me, "If you're not aiming for success, then what's the point of doing anything?" I smiled and replied, "To live each step deeply. Success, if it comes, is a bonus, but the real treasure lies in what we learn along the way." We live in an age where everything is measured by results: grades, income, followers, views. But the Buddha taught that true happiness doesn't come from what we have. It comes from how we receive life. And it is only when we let go of the belief that I must have in order to be happy that we truly become free. I am no longer haunted by milestones. Now, I choose to live each day with presence, grateful for every opportunity, and smiling even at what's still unfinished. Because I've come to see, letting go is not a loss. It's the opening of the heart to receive even more.